For 2025, the Ram Rebel got a refresh, and I wanted to show you guys the old versus the new. I borrowed these trucks from Larry H. Miller, Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram here in Sandy, Utah. Be sure to check out their inventory. Both of these trucks are available. Let's go ahead and check out the window stickers. Starting with the 2024, base price is $59,300. And then here is a short listing of the standard equipment. And then starting off the options is the comfort and convenience group. I noticed they no longer have this package. Up next is that Rebel Level 1 equipment group for $2,565. And then that Hemi was there for $3,045. 33-gallon fuel tank, a few other things. Destination comes in at $19.95 with a total price of $70,025. And then here are the Philly Commie numbers on the side. Here is the brand new refresh Rebel. Base price is $64,195. Now standard equipment is about the same. And then starting off the options is that diamond black paint, bed utility for $545. Rebel Level 1 equipment group is $495. 33-gallon fuel tank, trailer brake. Destination comes in at $19.95 with a total price of $68,215. And here are the Philly Commie numbers. If you're looking at the base price, the new Rebel is $4,895 more money. Now, obviously, if you were really paying attention to the options, you will see why it's so much more money. In fact, I think the 2025 might be a little bit cheaper depending on how you option them. Now, on the 2024, I've always liked the front end of these trucks. Full LED headlights, including the turn signals and the fog lights, which are a reflective style. You guys can see you have some black recovery hooks, and they give you a silver trimming on the front down below. And it's metal actually too. You have that off-road steel bumper. And then check out the design for the grille. Has like those nostrils, more or less. And as you would expect, there is no skid plate up front. On the front end of the 2025, you guys can see it has more of a cleaner look. The lines are a little bit more smoother. The headlights are thinner, which I do like better. And the grille doesn't have those big nostrils anymore. Also, full LED headlights and fog lights. However, your turn signals are an incandescent and there's no more accent lights. So it's kind of the same as the 2024s where the headlights act as the daytime running lights. But if you disable it, you still have like a white light down below right here for the 2024s. That's not the case on this side. Now, I don't know if you guys noticed, this Rebel has the front parking sensors, which also come standard. They're not standard on the 2024s. Now, there is no skid plates down below. You guys can see right there, they do have that sensor in the center. So even though the pricing is a little bit higher on this 2025, more things do come standard. They both are rocking the Sport Performance hood, and that does come standard for the Rebel. I can't forget that side parking sensor right there. Now, as far as the wheel and tires go, they did do a new style for the wheels. I never really cared for that machine look for these wheels, and I like the blackout. So I believe that you can get a blackout for these 2024s, which would get rid of that machine face on those wheels. Goodyear Wrangler DuraTrack tires, and you guys see here you have a full blackout on the wheel. I like that so much better. I wish they would have upgraded the tires though. I am not a fan of DuraTracks. They're loud, and these are an LT tire, and do you guys see right here, 80 psi. So these are basically HD truck tires, but on a half ton you run them at such low tire pressure, it almost makes the truck feel like it's swaying. So you almost have to run a higher tire pressure probably to make it ride a little bit more firmer, which for some people that's not a good idea. They're still using the Bilstein shocks. You can see the top of them, independent front suspension. The fender flares are still the exact same. And the mirrors, well, they're the same too. You have the turn signals on both sides. Now, On that convenience, was it convenience package? I can't remember now. Comfort and convenience group. It did paint the door handles and it has the smart key system. You have to move up to the level 2 equipment group, which will definitely make this truck more expensive. Now, as far as you guys can see down below, you do have that black lower piece, and that has not changed. You can still get that with the white trucks for the 2025s. Fender flares out back. 33-gallon fuel tank was an option on both sides, and they both have it. Now, this truck did have the ram boxes. This is a really nice build too, by the way. 400 watts of power inside of here, and they do illuminate this area too. And then this is that graphic. I believe this is a carryover too. Now, out back, you guys can see taillights have been restyled, and I like the overall design. The only negative is these are not full LED. In fact, they're all incandescent bulbs inside there compared to the full LED ones on this side. Now, you guys can see the Ram badging. You have a little bit more painted trim pieces like right here with the backup camera, dual exhaust. And let's go back to the side really quickly. You guys can see they did restyle this for the 2025s. Do you see the difference? It looks a little bit more smoother. But rear parking sensors, not on this truck, however. Still, you have a class 4 hitch. The rear axle ratio is a 392. And you guys see there, no off-road tire for an off-road truck. Oh yeah, by the way, that has a locker standard. And same thing goes on this side. No off-road tire, locker 392. And you can see that the bumper is fully restyled. LED lights and plate lights on both sides. And they have the black tips for the exhaust. And the badging is pretty much the exact same. Now, you do notice this trim piece is not painted. And if you drop this down, it is assisted spray and bed liner. And 400 watts of power in the bed. You have the bed lights, you have the tie downs. On this side, you do have this light on both sides that shines down for your class 4 hitch. Assisted tailgate. However, bed lights are an option. On that truck, it looks like they're standard, okay? Also, that 400 watt plug you guys saw in the Ram box, that's not available on these trucks without the Ram boxes. I thought that was kind of crazy. So yes, if you get this truck without Ram boxes, you don't have any power. Now for 2025, they have 2,000 watts of power now, which is pretty cool. So spray and bed liner, all that stuff came a part of that bed utility group. So you have this step here also, and all you got to do is just kick it out. This was available for the 2024s as well. So here's the biggest difference in the pricing. For 2024, that 5.7 liter Hemi was an option. For this 2025, that 3 liter inline 6 twin turbo engine comes standard. It's gonna have more horsepower and torque compared to this one. However, it doesn't have a dipstick like the Hemi does. I'll show that to you guys in a second. But I think that this is a good offering because obviously you can't beat more horsepower and torque. And forced induction and higher elevations is so much better. Now, 420 horsepower, 469 pound-feet of torque. It still made it to the exact same transmission behind that 5.7, which is the 8HP 7.5. And here's your twin turbo setup. The cooling on this engine is pretty good, and it's pretty overbuilt. We just have to wait and see how it holds up. But I do think that Ram made a big mistake not running this powertrain for at least the rest of this model year for the 5th gens. This is the 5.7 with the mild hybrid system, so this is the e-torque generator. It's gonna put out, I believe, 395 horsepower, 410 pound-feet of torque, and as I said, 8-speed transmission, also port injection. That's just direct injection. Let's go ahead and check out the interior. So here is the 2025. You guys will see that this is slightly different here. But let's go ahead and check it out for the 2024. Do you guys see the differences? They put a black trim piece on that 2025 to break up the red, which I like. And this right here was black too. let's go back really quickly. I want to look and really make sure. Yep, so they just added more accent to the door, but the trim pieces all seem to be the same here. But as I said, you will notice that these buttons are different, okay? So they did restyle this, and I think it looks a lot better. It looks like it's better placed on the door versus this. This is like an afterthought. And as far as the seats go, now, I don't know if you guys know this, this truck had manual seats for the driver and passenger side, standard. And then here's just a quick look at the overall design here. The cushions are pretty much the same. However, a power seat came standard for 2025. Here's some of the controls. None of this really changes. And I will venture to say, most of what you're going to see here is pretty much the same. So here's the steering wheel. You can see that perforated leather, red stitching. And you now have drive modes, which I'll show it to you in a second. You have a screen here. And the 12-inch display now comes standard. However, in this truck, the 12-inch display was an option. It came standard with the 8.4-inch display. You guys see up top there has a power plug. All that accent's gonna be the same. Now for 2025, you can now get a 14.5-inch display for your infotainment here, so you have an even bigger screen. That wireless charger down there was an option, and it's the same for the 2025, but nothing else really changes. This center console is all going to be the exact same, even down to the stitching and graphics here. Another USB inside this area too. And push button start comes standard across the board for Ram 1500s. You have the electronic locker there, auto stop start. You don't have 4-wheel drive auto, but let's go back to that 25 and talk about those drive modes. So you have arrows pointing left and right. Let's go ahead and hit the right. So you have off-road, sport, tow haul mode is now inside of here, snow, and then automatic. There's no eco mode, which I like to see. And also you guys see right here, you now have 4-wheel drive auto. So there's a transfer case. Now with that being said, I think that that's pretty much the major differences. Now, if you were to take off those Ram boxes, let's go out back really quickly. I did forget to mention that the 2025 now has LED interior lights standard on the roof there. You guys will see down here, this truck does have the USBs, outboard heated seats, and a 115 volt 400 watt power plug. These bins were an option for 2024. But yeah, the Rebel Level 1 equipment group gives you a lot of nice features, and that comfort and convenience group gave you those outboard heated seats and power plugs back here. Now if you look at it on the 2025, they don't have those features. You pretty much have to get that Rebel Level 1 equipment group to get a lot of those nice features. Now also on the 2025, you don't have a power passenger seat. However, the 2024s have the power seat. So what they did was for 2025, they just changed the way that they did the options basically. So when it's all said and done, the way that the black 2025 Ram Rebel is optioned is actually cheaper if you're okay with some of the things that you're missing. But once you start adding options, I think that the pricing is pretty comparable between the two trucks. I would have to go online and build them side by side, but I don't have time to do that right now. With that being said, let's go ahead and check out the Payload, and I'll pretty much end the video. Starting with the 2024, here are the numbers on the door. Gross axle rating is 3,900 pounds. The rear is 4,100 pounds. 7,100 pound gross fuel weight rating, and the wheels are 18 by 8 wide. And then here is the Payload, 1,321 pounds. None of these numbers change between the two trucks. However, you do pick up some Payload, which is actually kind of surprising. I would have expected the 2024 to have more Payload, but you know what, actually I forgot, that truck has the Ram boxes, and I believe Ram boxes are about 115 pound deduction off of the Payload, somewhere in there, 100 pounds to 130 pounds, somewhere in there. So actually I believe that that truck might have more Payload capacity if it was apples to apples. But I hope you guys liked the video. As I mentioned, both of these trucks are available. I don't think you can go wrong with either one. You have more rebates on that 2024, but the 2025s have a fresh face, and if you want a little bit more power, you have that inline 6, so it's definitely a little bit quicker than the Hemi.